Alright, hello, I'm back. This is Maester Payne. This video will contain spoilers, so watch at your own risk. They are just theories, but if you haven't read the books, you should probably stay away. Before I get started, you see I have new artwork behind me. I went downtown to the farmer's market over the weekend and came across a local artist who is putting out some what I think is very cool Game of Thrones artwork. These are $20 a piece. If you bought 4, you got 1 free. I spent $120. I actually think I got 3 free. Behind you, you have Ned, Jon, and Arya. She also does canvas prints of all these, and she does sell her originals. I don't know if there's any originals left of the Game of Thrones stuff. I didn't ask for that. But she does custom work as well. So if you're looking for a specific piece, maybe if you looked her up, she would make that for you. She does a whole bunch of pop culture stuff. There was Game of Thrones, obviously, Doctor Who, Batman, Walking Dead, Star Wars, a whole lot of other pop culture icons, Bill Murray. Can't remember everything, but this is her. It is www.caitlin.com. I find the name quite coincidental. So check her out. Go online, check out her site. Let her know Maester Payne sent you. This video will probably be called Jon Snow, Named and Explained. It wasn't a video I had fully intended on doing. I had it sort of in the back of my brain, but there's not much to it in itself. Recent events have brought out a couple things that made me want to do this video now. It was never my intention to go this way with this video, but now I think I sort of have to, but we'll get to that eventually. So, Jon Snow, I hereby name you a cheater and a rule breaker. Now, I know that's probably not what many of you expected me to say, but it's the truth. He is. He starts off very innocently doing these things, and they gradually escalate to bigger, stronger, more formidable rule breakings. Not a proper word, but we'll go with it. So I'll just name them for you right now, and then I'll talk about what I think everything means afterwards. In the very first chapter, we get a race between Robb and Jon, in which Jon cheats to get the lead, to get the jump on Robb. That's very innocent, and as I said, we'll talk about everything afterwards. But after that, we have him at the King's Feast in Winterfell, where he's very happy to be sitting at the back because he gets to break the rules. He gets to drink more. He's allowed to have ghosts at the table. Well, he's not allowed, but he does because nobody's paying attention to him. We have him taking his vows at the wall, at the Night's Watch, and then almost instantaneously breaking them and taking off to go down south. In his head, he's gonna go, save the world down there and help out Robb. Obviously, he gets brought back by Sam, excuse me, and company. If they didn't catch him, would he have kept going? I'm going to say yes. Maybe not. Maybe he would have come to some great realization and returned home. I'm not sure. Then we have him going north of the wall in the Great Ranging. Obviously, he's joining the wildlings. He refuses to behead Egret, and as Tony Teflon says, that's why Corrin Halfhand gets caught. It's basically because of Jon, which is absolutely true. If Jon had done his duty there, or done what he was ordered to do, chances are they wouldn't have been caught. We have him joining the wildlings, obviously, sleeping with Egret. Leading a group of wildlings over the wall. Then he turns his back on them. Of course, again, that's very, very arguable, but at least according to the show, I'm not sure if this is in the books, but when he's ordered to behead the farmer, he doesn't. And I don't know if it plays out that way in the books. I haven't looked it up. As I said, this is sort of stuff that was back in the back of my head. Just recent events, which we'll talk about, made me want to do this video out. So I haven't got it all fleshed out for you, as usual. But yeah, he leaves the wildlings. Then he goes to the wall. When he is elected Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, he decides that, you know what, let's just change things a little bit. We've kept the wildlings out for 8,000 years, and now I think we should let them come to our side. Maybe they can give us a hand doing what we do. And then we have the events of Dance with Dragons, where he arguably does something more for himself than any other time he's broken the rules, which might be what results with the events that happened to him there. Obviously, he has good intentions doing that, but you could say that this was more about Winterfell and other things, which might be why the Night's Watch finally took a stand against him. I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that a bit more. But the reason that I bring this up now is I was looking at a conversation between Tony Teflon and 1998 Champions on Tony Teflon's page last night and early this morning. And they were debating Ned Stark and Jon's honor. And Tony had said that, you know, Jon changes the rules all the time. He breaks the rules all the time, which I fully agree with. I mean, that is Jon's MO. That's what he does. He's done it from the very first chapter. He was tiny then, but everything's escalated ever since. I don't think this means Jon has no honor. I do think it shows to his character. And what I mean by that is he is willing to bend the rules for the betterment of mankind, to get the job done, to see a solution where maybe there isn't any following honor or law. So to me, that's a big thing for Jon, especially if we want to look at him ever as being king. Being able to navigate the law and what is honorable in favor of what is right. And we get that line also, at least in the show, most likely in the books too, where I think it's Gior that asks him, what would your father have done? And Jon says he would have done what's right. And I agree with that. I think Ned's done that. I think Ned's broken quite a few rules, laws, oaths. Is he without honor? Absolutely not. Is Jon? Absolutely not. But they are breaking the rules. And Jon, I think, is doing it probably better than most up until the end there, where, you know, what happens to him happens to him. And I think it's a smart thing. I mean, as far as rulers go, you would have to. Not everything is clear cut, black and white. You have to look for what's right, how to get to what's right. And I think that's what he does. So that's basically what I have to say about that. And sorry, it just popped into my head now. I probably should have thought about this earlier, but as far as the sound quality of my videos go, there's not much I can do about it. At the moment, I am sitting less than 2 feet away from my camera and my microphone. And if you can't hear me, I don't know what to do about that. I can hear myself fine when I listen to it on my computer. I know I've listened to it on other computers where the volume hasn't been there, no matter how you crank it up. All I can suggest is headphones. I don't even know if that would help. But my apologies there. Sooner or later, I'll try to buy a better mic. This one just came with my camera. It was a $120 camera. I figured it'd be somewhat decent. So, sorry. I digress. Or did. Now, the reason I decided to do this, as I said, I was looking at the comments and jumped in on the comments on Tony Teflon's channel, and I fully agree with him. Maybe a little bit less towards the honor, but I think he makes a good point, and he quite often does. So shout out to you, Tony. I don't agree with everything, but this one I do. And that being said, without further ado, the two things that forced me to make this video, and it was never my intention to go this way when I did this video. This was just going to be a filler at the end of a video, or maybe a precursor to a video, because there's not much to say about it besides what I just said, and that in itself shouldn't be a good video. But I noticed two things which I can't believe I haven't noticed before. The first is Jon and Rob's race. Rob was not impressed. The others take his eyes, he swore. He died well. Race you to the bridge. Done, Jon said, kicking his horse forward. Rob cursed and followed, and they galloped off down the trail, Rob laughing and hooting, Jon silent and intent. The hooves of their horses kicked up showers of snow as they went. We could put that on hold, but I guess I'll talk about it right now. To me, that's symbolic. Obviously, I have done the video where I say Ned was married before Catelyn and Jon was born before Rob. To me, this is very symbolic of that. Jon getting the jump on Rob in this race. It's a stretch. Obviously, I look at things differently than the majority of you. It's just the way my head works. I see things differently. I read things differently. To me, those words there means Jon came first. You got the jump on Robb. It's just happened. But it gets better. I plan to do at least 3 video series, probably more. 2 of them are a bit harder than the first 3, and it's going to be a series about journeys. So it's going to be journeys, part 1, part 2, part 3. Part 1 will be Bran's climb of Winterfell and his subsequent fall from Winterfell. To me, I think that foreshadows a great bit of his arc throughout the story. A lot of it is speculative because we don't have all the books, of course, but I think it's there. What I'm about to read, sort of stems into a bookend to that. And so that's why I'm telling you about those. The other ones would be Catelyn's ascent to the Vale. I think that foreshadows her arc throughout the series. And Arya running around the Red Keep chasing the cats. I think there's a lot of takeaways from that also. Anyways, Bran saw his father's face change, saw the other men exchange glances. He loved Jon with all his heart. At that moment, even at 7, Bran understood what his brother had done. The Count had come right, only because Jon had omitted himself. He had included the girls, included even Rickon the baby, but not the bastard who bore the surname Snow. Which leads us to, his fur was white where the rest of the litter was gray. His eyes were as red as the blood of the ragged man who had died that morning. Bran thought it curious that this pup alone would have opened his eyes while all the others were still blind. Now, in my Bran's journey video, I was planning on linking this to what Jon had done. Jon opened his eyes and realized that by omitting himself, his brothers and sisters would get these pups. It's for the betterment of them. He left himself out so that they could achieve something, so they could gain something. Obviously, it worked out for him. He got rewarded. He got Ghost. There is also an argument to be made that Ghost is obviously albino and his eyes are open. So we could argue Brynden Rivers is warging Ghost right at that moment when they first find him, warging the pup. There is evidence of this. I don't want to get into it now. Excuse me again. I would say it involves a chapter of A Dance with Dragons where Jon is in Ghost's body while he's asleep at the Night's Watch and Ghost's running. But Ghost's, you get this through Ghost's thinking, I suppose. There's another voice coming in and it's just saying Snow, Snow, Snow. Now we get Jon waking up afterwards and somebody's calling him Snow, I think, trying to wake him up. But there's a whole lot of him in Ghost at this point where that voice is there. Maybe he was sleeping that deep and that's what the voice was. Maybe there's 2 people occupying Ghost. I don't know. I'm not willing to speculate at that. But it is something I noticed. That's the second theory. And the third one, which to me was my pain, you're a stupid fuck right now. I can't believe you haven't noticed this before. And I'll read it again. I've probably read these little chapters that I have underlined like hundreds of times. And I never saw this. So, his fur was white where the rest of the litter was gray. His eyes were as red as the blood of the ragged man who had died that morning. Bran thought it curious that this pup alone would have opened his eyes while all the others were still blind. Now, I'll let you think about that for a second and see if any of your light bulbs go off. Mine didn't for the longest time. Fine Dornish red. Bran thought it curious that this pup alone would have opened his eyes while all the others were still blind. What would make a pup open his eyes while all the others were still blind? Could it not be that that pup is just plain older than the others? Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. Now, if the pups have any meaning towards the children, which I don't think many people would argue they don't, is that significant of, say, Jon being older? I kind of like it like that. I think that's what's being said there. His eyes were as red as the blood of the ragged man who had died that morning. Bran thought it curious that this pup alone would have opened his eyes while the others were still blind. Also in that Dance with Dragons chapter, we get Ghost remembering this exact moment when he's leaving the rest of the pups. He's out on his own. Which again is very curious when you think about Brennan Rivers and this voice that's saying snow, snow, snow. But to me, that's a dog or a wolf. It's a little bit older. He's had his fill of mama's milk. Now he's on his way. He's leaving. He's definitely farther away from the body than all the other pups who are still nursing. I don't know. I think that makes a good argument. This, again, was never my intention. I never meant for this Jon Snow named and explained to go there. I did absolutely today because I just this morning stumbled on the what I think is the obvious. The dog's eyes are open before the others. The dog's older than the others. So I had to do it. I really didn't want to get into a Jon Snow older son of Ned thing. But at this point, I'd say leave the marriage aside. I still fully believe the marriage happened. But if you think that what I just said gives a little bit of an argument to Jon being older, there's plenty of room over on my side of the world. Nobody believes this shit but me, as far as I could tell. No, people want it to be true, but I'm still getting fought tooth and nail all the way. I've yet to see an argument that makes me think I fucked up. I'm totally off. I will clean up that video sooner or later, add more to it. There is a lot more. Every time I open the book, I find something that points to stuff like that. But that's going to be at least after the season before I get into any of that. I plan on doing a top 5 themes / episodes. I think it'll center around more so the themes in the episodes. I haven't put any out yet because there's still 3 to go, and I think they'll probably be pretty epic, each one. But I do want to do a Two Swords video. The review that we did with James Johnson never aired, and I don't think we touched on any of the stuff that I'm going to say, but it is possible. And regardless, you don't have that, I think, for many of us besides maybe Charlie, and I know Charlie wasn't looking in the same direction I was. Not that his direction was wrong at all, it was actually great, but Not actually, it was great. Sorry, Charlie. But I do have a different take on it, and I like my take. I think it's pretty strong. Um, and then there's the journeys videos, and then I am going to do my best to show you all how I see things. Gonna rip off some passages, read them to you, and try to break them down. No theory whatsoever, just what I see when I read it, why it jumps out to me, and maybe not other people. Um, Maybe that lets you see things through my eyes. I don't know. And who knows if I'll do that. That one should be an easy one because all I have to do is read and explain myself. I think it's better than coming up with actual content or theories. It's pretty straightforward, so it requires less work. Um, Anyways, if it didn't make sense, if you were starting to at least consider that Jon came first, like and subscribe, argue with me, just let me know, hey, that was a good point, hey, that's bullshit. What's a dog opening its eyes have to do with anything? That's fine too. I think it's a very strong argument. I mean, it makes sense to me that an older dog would open its eyes first. Maybe that's out there, maybe that's dumb, I don't know. But thanks for watching. I'm going to try to get some stuff up for you a lot quicker now. I'm settled. I am doing the review. Speaking of which, thanks to James Johnson, Charlie, LaDonna, Eli Knight. Last count I had, I think, 64 subscribers. I'm sure most of them came from that review show, so I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Tony Teflon, I know that you're the reason that I'm doing these videos. You called me out. Don't think I haven't forgotten that. And despite being nemesis, I think we're still on the same side, so that'll do. More content coming, I promise. Might be next weekend, might be this week. We'll get there. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Thank you.